Hi everybody. Happy Easter. I broke down and got a Bible. So, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I like to think of myself as someone who says that when they say they're going to do something, they do it. Well, right now I'm driving, but once I get done driving, I will grab the Bible, flip to a random page right in front of you, and I'll read that page to you. Now, it is the New Living Translation Bible. You can get it at Walmart for like $6, whatever. Oh, and answer to the guy who said if I gave him a PayPal or something, I don't need money, man. You know, I'm glad it was a Bible. You know, I didn't buy fucking Twilight or some stupid shit like that. And anybody who hears this will be like, oh, well, how are you so happy it's a Bible? It's like, why not? I mean, it's the not-so-good book. I call it the not-so-good book because, well, it's, you know, to be fair, not really that good of a book. You know, if you read it just as a book and don't try to sit there and put religion into it, it's really boring. And it contradicts itself almost every chapter. But I digress. We'll talk a little bit about Easter and then I'll get to the Bible. Okay. Easter Sunday. It's one of the biggest holidays in the Christian tradition. Next to, of course, Christmas. Or like what I like to call it, Christ Mass. You're really going to piss somebody off, call it Xmas. Anyway. My dogs are going nuts. Anyway. According to the story, Easter is the day that Jesus rose from the dead and came out of the tomb. This is according to the story. But if this is true, like I said in my previous video, the one I just made this morning, if this is true, then why is Easter on a different day every year? It's just like Thanksgiving. You know, I mean, yes, it's the second Sunday of this month every year, but the second Sunday isn't always the same day, if you will. But anyway, and like what the guy said, yes, all holidays are man-made. That is very true. You know, and depending on the holiday is what it's going to be. And see, Easter, if you go by the original Easter, it was actually a pagan holiday. It was the pagan holiday for the spring solstice. It's also the pagan holiday for lust and sexual stuff. Now, yes, pagans were very sexual people, depending on what pagan belief you believed in. Pagans are not evil, by the way. Pagans were actually more peaceful than Christians. You know, a lot of people said, if you listen to the Christian views, the pagans were the ones who started the wars. You know, the wars that made Christianity so big. It's actually not that at all. It was actually the Christians, because in the old ways, not today, well, at least not that I've seen, in the old ways, if you weren't Christian, they'd kill you. You know, you either convert to Christianity or they murdered your ass. So basically they were Islam. But the Christian belief didn't even, everybody's like, oh, it started 2,000 years ago. No, it didn't. Now, the Jesus Christ figure may have happened 2,000 years ago. 2010, actually. But the Christian belief didn't really start getting power until about 1600 years ago, sorry. Back when the Council of Nicaea made their creeds and all that. You know, before then, it was just a cult. It was just a cult worshiping a dead guy, which is what almost every cult out there is. It's all worshiping some dead dude that may or may not have helped you through your life. That's every cult's like that. It's a death cult, you know. It's a celebration of a meaningless slaughter of a human being, is what it is. Somehow people figured out, I guess God came down and told them that Jesus died on the cross for our sins. I honestly don't believe it. Obviously, I mean, if you've seen any of my videos, you know this. But, yeah, so Jesus dies on the cross. After 3 days of being stuck in a hole, basically, he rises. And on that day, it's why they celebrate Easter now. It's part of their religious dogma that they do. But anyway, that's the story of Easter. You know, Christmas is the winter solstice. You know, hell, even the term Sunday is actually, you know, a thank you to the sun god, the god of eternal light, basically, in the pagan belief, which was a lot older than even the Jewish belief, which was 4,500 years ago. But I'm going to do what I promised now. I've spent 6 minutes giving you a little history lesson, a true history lesson, by the way, not some backwoods Christian history lesson. Now, this is the book. See? Cost me $5.38. It's the Holy Bible. It is called the New Living Translation. Okay. Like I said, flip through, stop. Today is going to be Psalms 86. In this particular book, it is page 354. I'll put that in the link below. Well, in the description. Okay. It starts out with verse 3. It says, "You held back your fury, you kept back your blazing anger. Now restore us again, O God of our salvation. Put aside your anger against us once more. Will you be angry with us always? Will you prolong your wrath to all generations? Won't you revive us again, so your people can rejoice in you? Show us your unfailing love, O Lord, and grant us your salvation." I listen carefully to what God the Lord is saying, for he speaks peace to his faithful people, but let them not return to their foolish ways. Surely his salvation is near to those who fear him, so our land will be filling with his glory. Unfailing love, the truth have met together. Makes no sense. Righteousness and peace have kissed. Truth springs up from the earth, and righteousness smiles down from heaven. Yes, the Lord pours down his blessings. Our land will yield its bountiful harvest. Righteousness goes as a herald before him, preparing the way for his steps. Psalm 86, a prayer from David. It's all on the same page. See? It's all right here. Okay, this is verse 1, Psalm 86. "Bend down, O Lord, and hear my prayer. Answer me, for I need your help. Protect me, for I am devoted to you. Save me, for I serve you and trust you. You are my Lord. Be merciful to me, O Lord, for I am calling on you constantly. Give me happiness, O Lord, for I give myself to you. O Lord, you are so good, so ready to forgive, so full of unfailing love for all who ask for your help. Listen closely to my prayer, O Lord. Hear my urgent cry. I will call to you whenever I'm in trouble, and you will answer me. No pagan god is like you. You, O Lord. None can do what you do. All the nations you made will come and bow before you. Lord, they will praise your holy name. For you are great and perform wonderful deeds. You alone are God." This is 11. "Teach me your ways, O Lord, that I may live according to your truth. Grant me purity of heart, so that I may honor you. With all my heart I will praise you, O Lord my God. I will give glory to your name forever, for your love for me is very great. You have rescued me from the depth of death. O God, insolent people rise up against me, a violent gang to try to kill me. You mean nothing to them, but you, O Lord, are God of compassion and mercy, slow to get angry, and filling with unfailing love and faithfulness. Look down and have mercy on me. Give your strength to your servant. Save me, the son of your servant. Send me a sign of your favor. Then those who hate me will be put to shame. For you, O Lord, help and comfort me. This is Psalms 87. A psalm of the descendants of Korah, wherever the hell Korah is. On the holy mountain stands a city founded by the Lord. He loves the city of Jerusalem more than any other city in Israel. O city of God, what glorious things are said of you. I will count Egypt and Babylon among those who know me. Also, Philistia and Tyre, and even distant Ethiopia. They have all become citizens of Jerusalem. Regarding Jerusalem, it will be said, everyone enjoys the rights of citizenship there, and the Most High will personally bless this city. When the Lord registers the nations, he will say, they have all become citizens of Jerusalem. The people will play flutes and sing, the source of my life springs from Jerusalem. This is Psalms 88. All on the same paper. This is for the choir director, a psalm of the descendants of Korah. A song be sung to the tune, the suffering of affliction, a psalm of Heman the Ezrahite. Okay. So apparently this is another song. O Lord of my salvation, I cried to you by day. I come to you at night, now hear my prayer. Listen to my cry, for my life is full of troubles, and death draws near. I am as good as dead, like a strong man with no strength left. They have left me among the dead, and lie like a corpse in a grave. I am forgotten, cut off from your care. You have thrown me into the lowest pit, into the darkest depths. Your anger weighs me down. With wave after wave you have engulfed me. And this is interlude right here. It says, you have driven my friends away by making me repulsive to them. I am in a trap with no way of escape. My eyes are blinded by my tears. Each day I beg for your help, O Lord. I lift my hands to you for mercy. Are your wonderful deeds of any use to the dead? Do the dead rise up and praise you? Okay, that was Psalm 86, 87, and a little bit of 88. I need something to mark this page so I know that I've done this one already. How about a color pencil? Put a little starter. Bam. It's a book. Before you guys get all butthurt about me writing in it. Alright, so the beginning of this page, it is a guy praising the Lord, begging this guy, and basically kissing his ass, saying, will you please help me with your righteous love? Then there's the prayer from David, bend down, O Lord, and hear my prayer. Answer me, for I need your help. He's begging for help. He's asking God, this God to help him, because he's getting his ass kicked, he's getting his ass kicked. Then you have the song of the descendants of Korah. On the holy mountain stands a city founded by the Lord. If the city was founded by the Lord, yet the Lord made the whole world, wouldn't that mean that everything you touch already been founded by the Lord? So that whole phrase right there would make no sense at all. Anyway, we have 88. This is apparently a cry from the opposite. The guys are now getting their asses kicked, that we're doing the good fighting. Now they're begging to get into the glory of the Lord of the previous people. Now, in this story, in these stories, this one right here anyway, you hear two different sides of the battle. You hear the guy crying for forgiveness and crying for help from his God. Then, miraculously, his armies start fighting better. then you hear another one from the opposite side, begging the God of their enemies to forgive them and not to send them to hell, basically. Even though hell is more of a Catholic thing. Just like a purgatory. Now, like I said, I'm going to analyze this. In this story, you have two sides, which is very rare because usually history is only wrote by the winners, the ones who won the wars. So you never really hear anything from them, from the losers, that is. You hear the bias of the winners. By the way, side note, Arizona green tea, fucking amazing. A little bit of honey in it. Honey's excellent for your immune system. So is green tea. I think this also has ginseng in it, which ginseng is good for your libido. So if you have a hard time, getting stiff for your lady, this stuff will help. And it'll cost you $1.09. And it's really sweet too. Anyway, back to the story. I still have it open here, so I can look back at it. No, I don't have the best memory in the world. In the Psalms before 86, it's like, surely his salvation is near to those who fear him. So basically, not only are they praising this guy and brown-nosing the hell out of this guy, they're also saying that other people should fear him. How are you going to fear something if you don't know it exists? I've actually had people say this to me. Why don't you fear God? Why don't you fear God? Because I don't know if the fucker exists. Why don't you fear Jesus? I'm not going to fear a 5'6" little Muslim dude. I'm sorry, I'm not. A guy in a towel, a guy in a bathrobe and sandals. They don't they don't scare me. In the slightest. They don't scare me. It's like I said, there's only two people that actually can put fear into me. My wife and my mother. Which it should be like that. I mean, if you have a father, your father should too. But with me, I got to know my father when I got a lot older. So I respect my father. I don't fear him. I respect my dad. He's a preacher. He's like 5'8" at the max. He's like $130. My dad, yes, he taught me how to fish. He taught me how to hunt. He taught me how to flay a fish. He taught me how to gut a deer. Taught me how to work on cars. Yes, we may not agree with everything. He's extreme Democrat. I am not. He's an extreme Christian. I am not. So there are some things we don't agree with, and that's fine. I still love the man. He was there for me. He was my dad. Anyway, he's probably read something out of the Bible because it is Easter. It is his job to preach the good book, if you will. But, like I said, in this particular page, I read from here to here. I read the whole page to you, like I said I was going to do. And I put a mark up in the top corner. I think you could see that. Let's see if I can get that sun out of there. You can see that mark. That means that I've done this. I did this page. That way, if I flip through it again and I actually stop on it again, I can look. If I stopped on it, I go again. Now, you held back your fury. So saying you held back, literally, you just held back your fury. I mean, there's nothing else to explain there. You kept back your blazing anger. Yet, in the same paper, it says God has no anger. He's not quick to anger. That he is a nice and just God. Yet, if you read from Genesis, way the hell back here, in the beginning of the book, before the Jesus factor came in, God was a very smiteful, very hateful, basically a dude with a little dick complex. He would smite thee if you do not believe in he. He would order you to sacrifice your kids. And like I said before, if some omniscient fuck told me, hey, sacrifice your kid to prove that you believe in me, fuck off, no. You're not here. You're in my mind. I can't see you because according to this book, If I see you, my eyes will burn in flames. If I hear your actual booming voice, my head would blow up. You know, stupid shit like that. Basically, making excuses on why people can't actually talk to God. And they turn around and say, oh, well, you're talking to his angels. Like you're talking to Michael, or you're talking to Gabriel, if you will. You know, you're talking to a messenger. You're not talking to the actual God. And anybody who's ever played telephone knows that messages get misconstrued the further down they go. So maybe God did say some of this crap. Maybe God did tell him, hey, you know, if you believe in me and you believe in the faith of me, you know, you undyingly believe in me, you undyingly basically kiss my brown eye every time I ask for it, that, you know, you'll go to heaven. You'll go to a place that he created, that he made up. And see, all through history, these same prayers that I just read to you, the same prayers, the same psalms, all these things were exactly the same thing people would say to a king. Not like king. Some random rich fucker who rules the land. That's exactly what they would say. Oh Lord, forgive me, my Lord. Let me lick your boots, my Lord. Let me tan your ass, my Lord. Literally, that one psalm right there, the first part of the page was this guy brown-nosing the hell out of God. And in the same thing, asking for help from this guy. So, why? You know, if you're getting your ass kicked, you're getting your ass kicked. And that's what these guys are doing. In the beginning of the story, they're getting their butts kicked. You know, oh, please forgive me, my thy Lord, or whatever the hell. You know, I am your faithful servant. You know, for one, if God did create us, I doubt he created us to be servants. You know, if he created us to be servants, that means we're slaves. Unless he's paying us, and he's not paying us. You know, everything we do around here, the houses we build, the cars we fix, the fish we catch, the deer we kill, you know, that's us. It has nothing to do with a God. And to have to sit there and praise to a being that may or may not be there, that the only reason why you praise this guy is because your daddy and mommy did this, and that so on far down the generations, eventually you're going to get to the first creator of it, the Jewish people, who didn't even believe Jesus was the Messiah. Now, like I said, analyze this story. In that story, in that particular part of the story, you have a man who is begging God for help. You have a man who somehow miraculously, after he prays to his God, apparently gets stronger. You know, it jumps from one side to the other. It doesn't give you any interlude between. And on top of that, it's this guy praying for God, praying for God's help, a song, another song from the opposite team, basically begging the same God that they were going against to forgive them and not to send them to a deep, dark pit in hell. I presume that's what they're saying about the pit of hell thing. It didn't explicitly say that, but come on. If you read the Bible, you're obviously not a layman. There's some of the names in this book, some of the made-up cities in this book are very hard to pronounce and very hard to read. So, I mean, you can't be a layman if you're reading this book. Granted, like I said in my previous video, it is a very, very dull read. You know, I've fallen asleep more times reading this book than I have any other book I've ever read. And, like I said, I wanted to get one anyway. It wasn't just for the videos. You know, I was going to buy one before. This just, you know, makes the videos better. It shows that I'm not, you know, reading Exodus 21 all the time. Or reading, you know, Genesis 1, God made the earth. You know, I'm not reading those. I am completely being random. You know, if there would have been a bag around it, I would have still kept the bag around it to show you I haven't even opened this damn thing. But anyway, in this story, in this particular Psalms, I mean, Psalms are exactly that. They're just stories, just like everything else in this book. It's like I said to plenty of people before. Why do you need a million metaphors to tell you just don't be a dick? No, I mean, in that particular one, it's basically saying, you know, oh God, I was being a dick because I wasn't believing in you. Please forgive me. Please, you know, give me your mighty axe to slay this dragon, kind of thing. You know, it's the same story. You know, I've read that exact storyline in a medieval text that had nothing to do with God. It was a guy asking help from his king. It's the same thing. You know, a lot of these stories come directly from old kingdoms. They just switched words around. Instead of saying, "O king," they say, "O God." There's something in there about how I already closed the book, or I'd open it back up again. There's something in there that says, "I am the son of your son." 1 second. If you are a Christian, then you don't believe Jesus had a son. How the hell are you the son of Jesus if Jesus had no kids? And the only person who could have had a kid around Jesus' time would have been Mary Magdalene, who had a daughter in France at the time of his crucifixion. Her name was Sarah, by the way. That's actually documented, not like this stuff. Anyway, again, it's loose documentation. You know, it's people try to throw things in there to make it sound less nonsensical, if you will. But like I said, I'm going to do this every Sunday. I'm going to flip through a page, and whatever page I stop on is what I'm going to read. I don't care if it's John 3:16. I don't care if it's Genesis 15 or whatever, how many Genesis things are there in there. I'm going to do this every Sunday. And like I said, I will mark the page on there, and I will put the description of it down below, of what page I read. Alright. Since we analyzed that, well, when I say we, I mean me. Oh, by the way, this one-sided video thing that I do, like I said, the only reason why I'm doing this is because I can't go live. According to YouTube, I have to have 1,000 followers, and I have to have, 1,000 subscribers. Which means I need to make a lot more videos. But what I have come to notice is, you know, I'm a normal, lazy, fat American dude. So, I like YouTube. I was thumbing through YouTube, seeing how many of these have like thousands and thousands and thousands of freaking, sometimes millions of views. And the main reason is because the videos are dumb. You know, when you see an educational video, 655 likes, 5 subscribers. You see video about some dude making a dubstep video of SpongeBob. 5 million subscribers, 360 million views. Over a dumb, moronic show that should have never even been freaking made. You know, I mean, does that kind of show how the education has gone downhill? You know, like, again, I'm not saying that I'm the most intelligent person out there. You know, I stutter a little bit. You know, I had a really bad stuttering problem when I was a kid. The only time I get nervous, I stutter a lot, but I don't do it anymore. And like I said, that was just showing you what I would do. I don't stutter anymore. At least not as much as I used to. But, you know, it's really hard to get subscribers when you're giving people an educational look on things. You know, I mean, there are a couple of education channels out there that have a lot of subscribers. I guarantee most of them are not children. I guarantee most of them are not people who are, looking for religious thoughts. It's very hard to talk about such things like religion and politics and like what my buddy who I correspond with on here, conspiracy theories. Because any person can look at your video and flag it, and then your video will automatically be shut down. They don't analyze the videos. None of these things that I'm saying are wrong. None of these things that I'm saying are falsehoods. Everything I'm saying is fact. Everything that I talk about when it comes to the Bible, everything I talk about when it comes to my very short range in political views. And yes, I mean that. I don't really know a lot about politics because I don't care to know. Because it doesn't directly affect me. I don't care. When I talk about... And it's kind of funny. I was watching a video the other day, and this guy was blatantly using extreme racism in his videos. And his video is still up. I make a video about religion and a little bit about a conspiracy theory, and my video gets shut down. His video has his channel has thousands of subscribers. Mine has 16. This guy's a nutbag. Completely crack-headed, really weird viewed, extreme racial, and he's a nasty dude. I'm not going to name him off because why? You'll probably find him anyway. Well, if you really want to know who he is, there's a guy named Rob Gavigan. He used to go by Rob Dyke until people were like, your last name is offensive to lesbians. Fuck off, it's his last name. They actually made him. They said, if you don't change your last name, we're going to shut down your channel. So he actually went to the courthouse and changed his last name to Gavigan. Because of these idiotic retards. I knew a guy growing up, his last name was Fag. F-A-G. Actually, it was P-H-A-G. Fag. Nobody had anything to say to that. They obviously picked on him. It's I knew a guy named Queer. His name was Robert Queer. He had YouTube videos. Nobody said shit to him. And I'm sorry, but the word queer, when it's used in a derogatory way, is a lot worse than dyke. And see, when I hear the word dyke, I don't think of a big butch lesbian. I don't. I think of the actual meaning of the word. If you want to know what a dyke is, look it up. I'm not going to explain it. I'm sorry, but I have one phone. I don't have several. I'm not by a computer. I'm in my car. And for some reason, anytime I do anything but make these videos, they get shut down. They get shut off, and then I have to reread something in this book, and I don't want to fucking do that. A guy told me one time, this is about religion. He told me that he wished I was a soldier for God. And I knew what he meant by it. I knew exactly what he was saying. I wanted him to explain it. I wanted to see if the definition of what I was thinking was the same thing he was saying. That's what people should do. Don't take, for instance, a joke by face value. Actually try to understand where he's coming from or she's coming from with their words. But most people don't. They're like, oh my God, that's offensive. Fuck you. In order to have a thought, you need to be offensive. You need to risk being offensive. I wish I was the one who created that saying. But alas, I am not. That was a very fantastic man by the last name of Peterson. Extremely intelligent dude. But it's completely true. In order to have a thought, you need to risk being offensive. And like when it comes to religion, any idiot can blindly believe some stupidity that they've heard. But who's the more educated one here? And I'm asking this in an actual literal thought. I'm not asking this as, to try to be a dick. It's an actual question. I really want to know. Who's the more educated one? The one who blindly believes and follows this thing, or the one who analyzes it and chooses whether or not to believe? Who's the one who actually uses their brain here? Knew I had a cigar left. Tastes like ass, but hey, cigar/cigarette's a cigar/cigarette. Anyway. Like I said, who's the one here that would be considered more educated? The one who's read the book from Exodus to Genesis and back and forth all the way through, multiple times? Or the one who goes to church every Sunday and blindly follows whatever the preacher is telling them? Because I've talked to Christians that are 60, 70 years old, and I'll quote a chapter from the book that they honestly do not believe is in there. And then I show them, and it literally looks like I just shoved a knife through their fucking heart. Like, great example. I could never understand why, and I know this sounds mean, but I can never understand why there are black Christians or female Christians. Because, for one, the Bible is very, very offensive towards women. It is completely riddled with, just completely bashing women, making them no more valuable than a cow. Making them, it's okay to rape a woman as long as you save a man's life. That's in the book. If you want an example, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Read it. I'm not saying read it with a religious view. Read it without the thought of religion. Straight through the book. If you read the book without thinking of a religious thought, the book would drive you nuts. It would scare you. Any normal person who actually has a heart, this book would make you want to burn it. But they don't tell you that in the church. They won't read these really horrific stories in church. And every preacher has these, what I call tag chapters, where, oh, you're having problems with infidelity, well, read such and such from such and such in this book, and it'll help you. Or, oh, you're dealing with death, here, read such and such from such and such, it'll help you. Every preacher has that. My dad does it. Every preacher I've met does it. My grandpa on my stepmother's side of the family did it. They have these go-to chapters for everything. And it's drilled in their heads. They're brainwashed sheep as much as everybody else is. And I know that's going to piss a lot of people off when I say that, but it's true. I don't take anything away from religion. It did make some shitty things seem better to people. It's like one of the jokes I always say, there was a time when everybody believed in religion, when everybody was going to church. It's called the Dark Ages. Everybody believed if you gave money to church, which you had to, you were required by the law of the land, to give money to your church. People would go hungry and die to give money to their church. They would have their child christened, if you will, have their child baptized the Sunday after the child was born, just so the child did not have a chance to go to hell. And that's the Christian belief right there. If you're an educated woman back in those days, you were a witch. If you could read and you were a female, guess what? Witch. If you said no to your husband, you were killed. If you walked down the street without a male escort, you were branded as a prostitute, and guess what? Raped and killed. Women have had, if everything in this book is true, the women have had a very, very shitty handing. If this was a deck of cards and if this was a poker game, say Texas Hold'em, because it's the one I like the best. You have the river. You have every face card you need on there except for one. You have the 2 cards in your hand. Say you have everything on the table is a heart, and you have a 2 of hearts and a 3 of spades. And they have the Jack, Queen, and King laying there. You got 1 more to burn, 1 more to turn. The other guy, the guy you're going against, who would be the male, automatically already has a king and a queen in his hand. So he's got the suit, You're fucked unless you get that 10. Well, you didn't get the 10 because you don't burn your cards. This isn't actual poker. So you're fucked in every hand. You're doomed to get the shittiest hand every time if you're a female, according to this book. So why are women so religious? Why do women believe in this stuff? It's a thing that's always baffled me. And when I'm saying black people, the slave owners, the Democrats and the Republican slave owners, none of these guys actually liked what was his name? Abe Lincoln. Sorry, my brain just went for a second. None of these guys really liked Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln had the lowest percentage of votes of the time. But to be fair, 4 people were running. But he still had the lowest percentage that ever won in history. Not a lot of people liked him. Even people he was fighting for. They were like, well, your address was way too mean. Because even though the Democrats were like, we shouldn't have slaves, every one of them bitches love their slaves. Sometimes love them a little too much. Now, like I said, one of the ones I always quote is Exodus 21 because it literally gives you the logistics of buying and selling slaves. It talks to you about, like I said, slavery. Keeping slaves. That if you beat your slave and they don't die within a certain amount of time, then you're in the clear. Female slaves are supposed to be your slaves for eternity. You're supposed to even will them to your kids. Male slaves, after 7 years, kind of an ironic thing, 7 years. After 7 years, they have a chance to be free. But this is how you can fuck them. If you got your slave a wife, which literally means in those days, hey, you're married to her. They didn't have a ceremony. It's like, you're married to her, you guys fornicate, make me more slaves. They didn't have a choice. If the slave owner did that, then the male slave is your slave for eternity. He can't be free. And slave owners, especially ones from the South, would quote this particular passage in the Bible on why God said slavery was okay. Now, I was debating on reading another page because that was very short, but if I start reading, I probably won't stop because I could read a passage, a chapter out of everything in this book and analyze it in a good or bad way. It's a flip of a coin, really. You can analyze it in a good way or bad way. Like, for example, the one I just read. Good way. I actually got to think about this one for a second. Okay. In a good way. God's a good person. As long as you believe in him, he will help you. According to that, that's, he praised God. That's why God gave him the power to beat his adversaries. Bad way. You have to praise this fucker and kiss his ass to get anything done. Basically what it's saying is, you can't do this alone. You can't depend on yourself. You have to depend on an outward being. It's making you dependent on something else. That's literally what that chapter was doing. He's not depending on his own might. He's depending on a figure that was created to help him. It's like I can make another analogy. The Cowboys and Indians. What happened? Why'd the Indians lose? Because they didn't have guns. Okay, they had bows and arrows. And there's this rifle. It's the Winchester. Said it was the one who won the West. The gun that won the West. Which, I'm not gonna lie, I want one. They're badass guns. Anyway, that's the story of the gun. When, if you really want to be technical, they should say the one that stole the West. Because the West was not founded. It was, Indians were here long before us white people were. We annexed it, if you will. But anyway, like I said, that's the first chapter I was going to read. It's Psalms 86, I believe it was. But, like I said, I will put a description of what I read in the bottom of the video. So you can follow along with me, so you know I'm not just throwing random words in there. I read it directly from the book. Anyway, again, have a great Easter, guys. Even though I basically just bashed your religious views. My bad. Anyway, have a great day. Great rest of the evening, if you will. And y'all, I will be looking forward to your comments on the Bible. You guys have a good day.